Right now at 6, county officials try to reassure neighbors over plans for a new tiny home village.
We take our presence in the community very seriously. We don't just drop shelters in there and then disappear.
Remembering a pillar of the Grand Ronde tribal community who was always on a mission to help and inspire others.
If I can be an inspiration to anybody, I'd love to be an inspiration.
Then, a bittersweet goodbye for a congregation that's worshiped downtown for well over a century and the hopes for its next chapter. And later,
this disaster happening right now to us, it's been bad, but it also has been a blessing.
How a plumbing nightmare turned into an outpouring of generosity to lift up a family in need.
A very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. David Molko here with Christine Pitawanich on what so far is a mostly calm and dry Christmas Eve. We're thankful for that. 46 degrees in the Rose City with what we're calling a weather impact alert on the way that could impact your holiday plans over the next 48 hours.
So let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino in the Weather Center. The big day tomorrow, Matt. So what are we looking at on Christmas Day?
Yeah, well, Christmas Eve, all is calm, all is kind of bright, right? All of the sun has gone down, but we have a weather impact alert for Wednesday and for Thursday, although by daybreak on Thursday, I think most of the really wild weather will be over by then. But tomorrow, we'll see the rain and the wind increase. Now, for Christmas morning, all will still be pretty calm and dry. But by mid-morning, we're going to begin to see the rain kick on in as this big fetch of deep moisture rolls into the northwest. The heaviest rain should be in southern Oregon and northern California, but we will not be spared. Getting some really significant rainfall coming our way. In fact, let's go through this forecast. By 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, we're still dry, but then it ends. By about 9-10 o'clock, we expect the rain to begin. And from that time period, mid-morning until Thursday, or early on Thursday morning, say 3 a.m., we pick up about 3/4 of an inch of rain. A lot more in the Cascades, the Coast Range, and the coast, of course. So it's going to become rainy and it's going to become windy as we go into Wednesday night. That's the crux of the matter when we're going to have the wildest and wooliest weather. There is a high wind watch up for the coast and a winter weather advisory in the Cascades. If you're traveling in the Cascades, you definitely want to be prepared for winter driving conditions. It's just a watch and not a warning in the Cascade, in the Coast Range, in the coast for the wind, because still a little bit uncertain as to exactly where this low pressure will go. But it is going to get windy and rainy here in the valleys Wednesday night, 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. That'll be the worst of it. Look out for ponding of water on roads. Could be some random tree branches come down. Not expecting widespread power outages, though. But make sure you slow down, watch for debris on the roads and ponding of waters, intersections, low spots, that kind of a thing. And then the heavy snow in the Cascades. We're talking feet over the next several days. We'll show you those amounts in a bit, guys. Back to you.
Grateful to have this dry weather while we have it. Thank you.
In our homeless crisis, construction is set to begin on another tiny home village in Portland, this one on Southeast 82nd, and commissioned by the county.
Blair Best is in the newsroom. Blair, you were at the site today, so what more can you tell us about this latest project?
Christine, the site will be in addition to the nearly 3,000 shelter beds currently open across Multnomah County. And while broadly speaking, that sounds great, those living right next door see it differently.
This former RV dealership off Southeast 82nd Avenue will soon be a village for those living on the streets.
I think it'd be good for the community and get people off the streets.
By the end of 2025, 38 tiny homes will fill this empty lot in the close-knit Montevilla neighborhood.
I think it's a bad idea.
I've been here for 33 years, so I'm not really a big fan of it.
This month, Multnomah County Commissioners voted to spend $4 million taxpayer dollars to turn this corner lot into a gated and managed homeless shelter for up to 45 people, adding to the nearly 3,000 shelter beds currently open in Multnomah County.
I've slept behind buildings before, under bridges, it's kind of hard when you don't have anything.
We don't want people sleeping on the street.
Dan Field is the head of the county's Joint Office of Homeless Services.
The taxpayers should know that our goal is to spend every dollar as effectively as possible.
That's all it's going to cause is a bunch of theft and a bunch of needles and a bunch of drugs and a bunch of people coming around and stealing stuff.
Concerns that bring this woman to tears.
I'm sorry, I don't. This is the block that we have kids walking all the time.
The site is not far from this elementary school.
My understanding is our team has been out to meet with the staff at those schools. And I think the goal is to work together to make sure it's a safe environment.
Now, one thing that makes this shelter site stand out from others across Portland is that county officials are required to sign a good neighbor agreement with the surrounding community before the site opens next year.
No, I don't believe it. Yeah.
County officials have already met with neighbors to talk about the site. Anna was there.
What difference did it make? We all had questions. We all wrote questions down on everything. It didn't do any good.
I mean, we get mail pieces, but it doesn't really explain what's going on.
What I would ask the community to understand is we take our presence in the community very seriously. We don't just drop shelters in there and then disappear. So we're in it for the long haul, and we'll be very attentive to the community needs.
All right, so a lot of emotions around the opening of that shelter. Again, it is expected to open late next year, and this is all part of a larger effort coming from the county to open 1,000 more shelter beds by the end of next year. Back to you.
And we'll see what happens with that good neighbor agreement requirement. Thank you, Blair. Appreciate it. In your headlines, at least one person is dead after a two-vehicle crash on I-5 near Albany. Authorities say this happened around 2 this morning in the northbound lanes just north of the Knox Butte exit. The highway was fully reopened by sunrise. We're working to get more details about injuries and the cause of the crash from state police.
A teenager is facing assault charges after investigators say he stabbed a relative at a home early this morning. It happened around 2:30 a.m. on South Colina Avenue in the Riverview neighborhood between Portland and Lake Oswego. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office says a man was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The teen was arrested and taken to the Donald E. Long Juvenile Detention Facility in Northeast Portland.
The woman accused of stabbing 2 people at a Northeast Portland hotel yesterday morning has now pleaded not guilty to charges that include attempted murder. 19-year-old Shania Daniel faces 13 charges. Police say she stabbed an employee and a guest at the Crowne Plaza. Both of them were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Daniel's due back in court on Thursday.
Starbucks workers picketed outside the Pioneer Courthouse Square location today. They joined a growing national strike with unionized employees wanting better wages. In the most recent contract offer, Starbucks is guaranteeing baristas a 1.5% wage increase a year. The union wants to see an immediate wage increase of more than 60%. In Oregon, there are around 30 stores that are unionized. About half of them are in the Portland metro area.
Help us out. Help out the thousands of union baristas who are just trying to have better working conditions and earn a livable wage. Help us out and don't cross the picket line. Help yourself out and go somewhere with better coffee.
The Pioneer Courthouse Square location stayed open today, but stores that were closed because of the strike will be back open tomorrow, Christmas Day.
And rural schools across Oregon will likely miss out on tens of millions of dollars in federal funding next year after Congress failed to renew a key program. Now, Oregon typically gets around $80 million from the Secure Rural Schools Act. It helps districts with large amounts of federal forest lands make up for lost tax and timber revenue. Some of the money also goes to road maintenance, youth job training, and wildfire prevention. The Senate passed a bipartisan bill to extend the program in April, though it was not brought up for a vote in the House. Senator Ron Wyden saying he'll push to get the program renewed under a new Congress in 2025. In an update, a single mother of 2 displaced after a sewage line flooded her Southwest Portland apartment is now back on her feet, and thanks to your generosity.
You may remember Amber Lewis and her 2 daughters lost everything in a massive sewage spill just before Thanksgiving. Amber says the city of Portland was found liable for the damages stemming from a blocked sewage line in her apartment. She says it wasn't until our story aired that the city took responsibility, but she doesn't feel that the city did enough to support her family. Within minutes of our story airing, thousands of dollars began pouring into her GoFundMe page, allowing Amber to buy her daughter new school supplies and Christmas presents, something she would not have been able to do on her own.
If it wasn't for the community, me and the kids would not be having a Christmas right now. And we just appreciate it. How we may? Yeah. And we just want to say thank you.
For now, the family is temporarily staying in a 1-bedroom apartment. So far, people have donated over $10,000 to get that single mom back on her feet. Amazing stuff.
Okay, we are just over a week away from the big rematch between the #1 Oregon Ducks and the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Rose Bowl, the first ever college football playoff quarterfinal. And the man of the hour, Orlando Sanchez, heading to what we hope will be a very sunny Pasadena to bring you all the big game hype. You can catch his live reports here on KGW starting next Tuesday, New Year's Eve. And of course, he'll have a full post-game wrap on New Year's Day.
Meantime, Orlando will get you caught up too on the Ducks' historic undefeated run through the regular season this Sunday. Road to the Rose Bowl airs at 8:30 following the Falcons and Commanders on NBC's Sunday Night Football right here on KGW. Go Ducks.
Indeed.